Hi, and welcome to my August TBR video. This is Ezra, and since I'm sitting on the floor, he thinks that this is his time too. So Ezra might be in and out of the frame. I'm sure you've seen him in other videos, but this is the first one where he's been super prominent. Yeah, right, bud. He's a border collie and he's very devoted to me. So I kind of wanted to talk about what I'm going to be reading during the month of August. I am not really a fan of TBR games. I think they're kind of a lot, and I don't like leaving what I'm going to read for the month up to chance. So I'm actually just going to kind of walk through some things that I have like pressing reasons that I need to read. I will say that in August, we're going back to school. My first day with students is going to be this coming Wednesday. I am not going to have as much time to read as I would like. So this is a pretty short TBR pile. It also doesn't include whatever I end up reading on audiobook. I think I usually like to have an audiobook, an ebook, and a physical book at the same time. Currently, my ebook that I'm reading is The Iron Garden Sutra, and the audiobook that I'm reading is Chlorine, although Chlorine is getting pretty intense. And since reading audiobook is like a more immersive experience for me, I'm actually switching to the paper version of Chlorine to finish the last 50 to 60 pages. So these are all the physical books that I've tagged to that I know I'm going to read, and it doesn't really include audiobooks because I have not picked which next audiobook I'm going to read. So here is my August physical TBR. So a couple of the books that I'm reading are actually for my classroom and for my job. Not necessarily that they're required or anything, but I read this book last year and I actually really enjoyed it. It's called The Classroom Behavior Manual by Scott Irvin. It was actually super informative. I really loved how it focused on creating meaningful relationships with the students. And I plan on rereading this at the beginning of the year as I get back into reestablishing some procedures. So this one's a little boring unless you're a teacher, but this is my first thing that I'm going to be reading. Next, we have Every Student Every Day by Kristen Clay Barrero. This one is also a teacher book, but this one was assigned by my director, who is our building level administrator. I kind of work in a non-traditional school and we don't have a permanent student body, so we don't have a principal, we have a director. And this book is also very much like the Classroom Behavior Manual, except that this one is a little bit more teacher focused. It still focuses on creating a student-centered classroom, but it's very much like the teacher is the strong leader in the classroom rather than the teacher is a kind facilitator. And I lean more towards the kind facilitator idea of being a teacher. So I'm not as excited to read this one, but I do think I'm going to get stuff out of it. So this one is following closely behind the Classroom Behavior Manual in terms of my physical TBR. Then we have the two books associated with my Pride and Prejudice readathon. So the first one that I'm going to be doing is Aisha at Last. This one is kind of a low-key Pride and Prejudice retelling. It's not point for point Pride and Prejudice from what I've read. It's more like the spirit and some of the major plot points are very similar to Pride and Prejudice, but it is advertised as a Pride and Prejudice retelling, so I think it counts. So this one I am excited to read. I'm almost getting Pride and Prejudice out though. I will say that I'm kind of sick of Pride and Prejudice. But this is the last long one. The one that I finished recently was Eligible. That one was not good and that one was considerably longer than this one, so I think I will get through this one pretty quickly. Next is Pride and Prejudice in Space by Alexis Lampley. I've talked about this in sprints, and I've talked about this in a couple other videos that I've put out, but it is an illustrated version of Pride and Prejudice, and it takes place in space. And so there's a lot of world building associated with Pride and Prejudice taking place in space, but I'm excited to read this because Alexis Lampley is actually one of my aunt's close friends, and they're in a writing group together. And so I've known Alexis since I was very young. And when I saw this on the shelf in Barnes & Noble, I hadn't even heard that she had gotten published. And I was like, oh my God. And so I bought it right away. So that's the main reason why I'm excited to read this one. And it fits into my Pride and Prejudice readathon. And then the last book on my TBR is going to be An Echo of Things to Come. This is the sequel of A Shadow of What Was Lost. And I really enjoyed The Shadow of What Was Lost. I actually had this due at the library, and I had to go back to the library, and I put it on the counter. And I was like, hey, this is high maintenance, but can you check this out? Like, check this back in and check it back out to me. And he was like, oh yeah, we can do that for you. And so he did it right away. And I was really excited that I was able to get it back. So I will be starting on this hopefully soon, because I don't have a physical book right now that I'm reading. I'm probably going to read my classroom management books at school. I have significant planning time, like about 2 hours a day. And I usually spend part of that reading, whether it's related to, I have a book on teacher resiliency that I've also been reading. So I'll read that and work in the workbook for that, or I'll start reading these books. So that's where I'm going to read those. And I think Echo of Things to Come is going to be my nighttime kind of chill read, because it'll take me a little while to get through it. And then I forgot about these two, but I am going to be reading, wait, let me take the hold tag off so you don't know where I live. Okay, so I'm going to be reading Heartstopper Volume 4. These are coming due in the library. It'll take me maybe a day to get through all of these. So I will be starting with Heartstopper Volume 4 pretty soon. This is the one that deals mostly with Charlie's eating disorder, and that tends to trigger me. So I think I'm actually in a place where I would be able to read it and not be super messed up. They're super cute. I love the couple in this book, and I really like how their relationship is like snuggly and kind of not super angsty. Like you know that they like each other, and there's not really any question of if they're going to end up together. You just know that that's going to happen. And so I do feel very secure in that. It's just that this conflict with the eating disorder is probably going to not be my absolute favorite, but we'll see. So right after Heartstopper Volume 4, I will be reading Heartstopper Volume 5. I'm sorry if you hear my cat in the background. He's deaf, and he just meows to meow, and he doesn't know how loud he's being. But I don't exactly know what goes on in Heartstopper Volume 5. I do know that I asked the library to purchase Heartstopper Volume 6, and I believe that they will be purchasing that very soon. So I need to get moving on this so that I can have read all of Heartstopper this summer. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I'm going to be reading in August. I'm sorry that I didn't have a super entertaining board game. I do have some other August goals, and I'm hoping to drop a vlog soon about setting my classroom back up and kind of talking about that process. I know that not everyone is going to be super interested in that, but I think it would be kind of fun to make a vlog about transforming my classroom and getting it ready for students. So I am excited about that coming up. I'm also working on knitting a pair of Dungeon Crawler Carl socks. I've already posted those in the QWERTY Discord, but those are super fun, and I think I'm probably going to be finished with the first sock by the end of Tuesday, which is the end of our professional development days, because I am allowed to knit during professional development. So I will probably be finishing those very soon, and then I will start on the second sock, and so that will be another hopeful August finish. I'm also working on a 6-day star blanket. I'm hopeful that I'll be finished with that by the end of this week, but we'll see. And then after that, midway through the month, I'm going to be starting on my MFA in poetry. I'm very excited to get started on that, but my first class actually isn't a poetry class, it's a creative nonfiction class, because when I was being advised for it, I was really deep into my Annie Dillard phase, and I was like, I want to write nonfiction just like Annie Dillard. So that's why I'm in the creative nonfiction class, but I think it will be a good experience for me, and we're actually going to be reading creative nonfiction and talking about it. So you'll be seeing some of that on the channel as well, in especially my September TBR, because I've got to order those books and have them sent to my house so that I can start reading the assigned readings. But yeah, so that's everything that I've got going on for August. And I may not be as frequent with the weekly updates because I may not have much to update, but be assured that I am still reading and I will still be in the Discord and I will still be crafting and all of those things. It's just going to be a matter of finding time to film. And I'm trying to keep this like a low pressure thing where I'm not stressed about it because this is all for fun. And so I don't really want to get super stressed about anything. But yeah, let me know what audiobook you think I should read next. My audiobook provider is Hoopla, and my library has like a pretty good license to Hoopla. I also have Cloud Library. So if you have either of those apps and you know of a book that you think I might be interested in reading, let me know in the comments because I truly don't know what to read next. It keeps promoting a bunch of like random crap to me and none of them really strike my fancy. There's one on there called Your Knife, My Heart that sounds like this toxic romance book that sounds like the exact kind of trash I would enjoy reading. But I haven't really checked anything out because I'm scared to use up my borrows on something like that. But I really like nonfiction. I like fantasy. I like horror, although the horror can't be too graphic on audiobook because it does tend to bother me. Like hearing it tends to get me more involved in it than just reading it. And that's one of my main concerns with horror in particular. So yeah, let me know what I should read next and let me know what you're reading in August too. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.